Do you ever have a flash of insight or an idea that you just have to remember? This happens to me about 5 to 10 times each day. But if I don't write it down immediately, it just slips out of my mind. Worst of all, I'll remember that I've forgotten something, and then I'll have to spend the next 10 minutes trying to figure out what that was. So, I decided to invent external memory for my brain. Introducing Pebble Index 01. It's a small ring with a button and a microphone. Hold the button, whisper your thought, and it's sent directly to your phone. There, it could get added to your notes, or set a reminder, or you could just review a feed of all your past memories. It's as small as a wedding band and comes in 3 colors: matte black, polished gold, and polished silver. All 3 are made out of stainless steel and water resistant, so you never need to take it off. Index 01 is designed to be with you at all times. It becomes second nature. If you need to remember something, it's right there. It also has privacy by design. It won't record unless you're pressing the button, and all processing happens locally on the phone. No internet connection or paid subscription is required. And here's the best part. The battery lasts for up to years. You never need to charge it. And because it's a Pebble product, it's fully customizable and built with open source software. You can pre-order one today for $75 on repebble.com. And we start shipping worldwide in March. Okay, with that ad from our sponsor out of the way, we can finally start the podcast. This is TikTok. My name is Eric Michikowski. You may know me from building Pebble smartwatches. 17 years ago, I created the first prototype in my dorm room. Wow. It's a bit crazy to see me without a beard and in dire need of a haircut. Anyways, I'm really excited to be announcing the Index 01 today. It's the first completely new product that I've worked on in a long time. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of how we got there and the design and go through the details and basically do an entire podcast about this new product. For me, the new company that I started, Core Devices, is going to be kind of like a holding company above all of these interesting, random, cool gadgets that I'm working on. Obviously, we started with a couple watches. We're adding a ring now. I love gadgets. I grew up reading popular science. I was probably the only Canadian teenager to subscribe to a magazine called Pen Computing back in the 90s. I've read Engadget and Gizmodo and The Verge and all of these blogs for years. I love gadgets. Gadgets to me are like the simplest expression of technology. They're unambiguously fun, playful, joyful. They don't take themselves too seriously. Gadgets for me bring, a tiny little bit of joy into my life. I love reading about them. I love buying them. I love using them. I don't think that there's enough gadget companies in the world today. I think you got a bunch of really big tech companies that build, our smartphones and that kind of thing. But it's very rare for there to be, a company that makes gadgets. So that's what I'm starting. I'm starting a company that makes gadgets. I love them. I've got a bunch of ideas for cool gadgets, and that's what we're making. It's rare, though, for a gadget to change my life. And what I mean by that is it's rare that I really kind of incorporate a new gadget into the daily things that I carry or use on a regular basis. I think the last one that I really kind of incorporated into my life was AirPods, right? These came out, I had the Braggy Dash and I had a bunch of kind of pre-AirPod type devices. But in terms of a form factor, a wireless headphone is one of the only things that I carry around with me, all day long, besides my smartwatch, of course. And so it's very rare for there to be a new category, a new type of gadget that becomes a habit, something that I, use on a regular basis. Now that I've worn my Index 01 for a couple months now, I can safely say that my life has changed. There's no way that I could go back to a life without wearing this device on my finger every day. It feels a lot like, the first time that I put on a smartwatch. Before it was even Pebble, it was Impulse back then. And so, from that moment forward, I knew I would be wearing a smartwatch for, all intents and purposes for the future. And it's been the same with Index. There's just no way that I could go back to a world where I don't have something that can be this external memory for my brain on my finger at all times. There's just so many situations during the day that my hands are full, like when I'm, wrangling kids or washing the dishes or, biking or driving, that I have my hands full and I still need to remember something. Here, let me look at my phone and I'll show you some of or I'll read back some of the recordings that I've made on my index. So set a timer at 3 p.m. to go pick up the kids. Ask my friend if he got that new office space that he was looking at. Remember that Peter's coming by at 11:30 to pick up some Pebble Time 2s. Jerry recommends a book, Breakneck. So these are just like stream of consciousness, things that come up during the day that you need to remember. And before this, I would be taking my phone out and, getting past my notification screen, hopefully, without getting distracted. And then inevitably doing something dumb like sending myself an email or texting myself to remember it. And then there were certain circumstances when I couldn't even do that, when I was biking or, I had my hands full and I couldn't even take out my phone. I've also kind of wanted to start using my phone less, especially around my kids. And the problem is my brain never stops thinking. And so I have these ideas and I have things that I need to remember, but I don't really want to take out my phone when I'm, in front of my kids. So initially, we actually tried to solve this problem by building an app for Pebble because, I have my Pebble at all times and there's a microphone on it. So it kind of makes sense. Could we just use the microphone on Pebble to record? But we realized really quickly that this was suboptimal. It required me to use my other hand to trigger the recording on the watch. And, this sounds obviously like a first world problem, but it was enough. It was enough to just block me from using it. We tried using like wake words, like okay Google type things, or hey Siri. Those just didn't work 100% of the time. They worked 80% or 90%, but the problem with that is when it doesn't work and you wanted it to work, you get frustrated. I got frustrated, and then I just stopped using it. We looked at using gestures, like a lift to turn on, and again, it just didn't work 100% of the time. And then a genius electrical engineer friend of mine came up with the idea of fitting everything into a ring. It's just the perfect form factor for this. It's something that I always have on, and I could use it even when my hands are busy or my hands are full. Honestly, I'm kind of amazed that everything fits into this tiny, tiny ring. Here's how it works. First, you wear it on your index finger. Inside the ring is a button, a microphone, a Bluetooth chip, a little bit of memory, and a battery that can last for up to years. Hold the button with your thumb, talk into the mic, and the ring will save the recording. When your phone is in range, the recording is sent to the Pebble app on your phone. Your speech is converted to text locally and then processed by an on-device large language model, LLM. And it can take an action, like creating a note, add to your reminders, that kind of thing. We designed the entire system with a few critical features. First, it must be reliable 100% of the time. Not 95, not 99%, 100%. If it didn't work or if it failed to record a thought, I knew that I would just take it off and not use it again. I'd probably revert back to my old habits of just forgetting things or trying to use my phone to remember. For example, if the speech to text doesn't work, you can actually listen to the recording in the Pebble app. And there's storage on the ring itself. So if your phone isn't there, you can still record. And it works without an internet connection. So if you're on an airplane, if you're switching between your home Wi-Fi and 5G, it still works. It always works. That's the goal. It also has to have a physical press button with a satisfying click feel. I know for sure that I'm pressing this button and that my thought is being captured. We tried using a touchpad or a touch panel instead of this, and it just didn't work because it was too easy to accidentally swipe. Third, long battery life. Every time you take something off to recharge, there's a chance that you just won't put it back on. And if you don't have your ring on your finger, you won't be able to use it to remember things. So we knew that it had to have a ridiculously long battery life. The fourth is that it had to be privacy preserving. These are your inner thoughts. These are your memories. So they need to be private and they need to be secure. All of the recordings are processed on the device without a need for a cloud server. They The Ring only records when you're pressing the button down, so there's no risk of it overhearing things that you don't want it to record. Number 5, it had to be as small as a wedding band. Since it's worn on the index finger, if it was too large or too bulky, it would kind of hit against your phone when you were holding it or anything else that you had in your hands. And number 6, it had to be water resistant. Similar to the battery life question, I didn't want to have to take this thing off. I wanted it to always be there so it could become muscle memory. So it had to be water resistant. I had to be able to wash my hands, wash dishes, take a shower, that kind of thing, without having to take the Ring off. At the end of the day, this whole product is designed to be simple. It's supposed to do one thing really, really well. It helps you remember. I find that it lets me put my phone down and be a little bit more present because I know that at any moment I could record something if I needed to. We hope that this becomes a habit. We hope that this is something that you incorporate into your daily life, and we've tried to make it really easy to get started. That's why it's only $75. So a few other things. There's no paid subscription required to use this. It's $75. That's it. No Pebble watch is required either. But if you have one, it works even better with a Pebble because you could see the transcription show up on your watch. It actually works with the Apple Watch as well. So if you have any smartwatch, you can see after you make a recording what the transcription of that recording was and which action was taken. But it works extra better with Pebble, and I'll talk about that in a bit. It comes in 3 colors, matte black, gold, and silver. And we're making it in 8 sizes from size 6, from the US Ring size 6 to size 13. We're going to have a sizing kit, but you can also measure your finger and figure out which size you are. And we've actually got a set of 3D printable STL files. So if you have a 3D printer, you can print off the Ring today and see which one fits your finger. And when you are pre-ordering, you don't actually need to pick a size or a color yet. You could just place a pre-order, and then before your Ring is ready to ship, we'll contact you and you can select which one you want. So you might ask, how did we make the Ring so inexpensive and small and have such a long battery life? Well, as I've talked about in other videos, building hardware is an exercise in constraint maximization. And so we really focused on doing a few things really, really well with this Ring. That's why it doesn't have health tracking features. There's no speaker. There's no vibrating motor. There's many things that it doesn't have so that we could focus narrowly on the thing that it is really good at, which is helping you remember. Another question that you might ask is like, why can't we charge this? Why is this only a one-time use thing? Well, we looked at this and we really seriously considered making it have a charger, but we realized that you'd probably lose the charger before the battery ran out. And so without a charger, it makes the Ring much smaller and much less expensive. And so don't worry, the app will actually tell you about a month before your battery runs out that you need another one, and you can order another one right in the app. We make it really easy. And you can send the old one back to us for recycling as well. Let's talk about privacy. So I mentioned earlier about why privacy is so important for a product like this, but I want to make something ultra clear. This is not one of those AI friend type devices that's always recording. And there's no Scarlett Johansson persona inside the Ring either. The Ring only records when you press and hold the button down. This is both for privacy purposes as well as battery life. Your recordings are processed by a local speech-to-text model that works inside your phone, and an LLM that works locally as well. We use open source AI models, and the app is fully open source, so you can inspect the code and see exactly what's happening. The pleasant side effect of all of this is that there's no cloud subscription required, no paid subscription at all, and no internet connection is needed to use the product. Though, if you'd like, we do have an optional higher quality cloud speech-to-text model that's available if you want slightly higher transcription. And there's an optional backup service as well to back up your recordings. But again, optional, you don't have to use it. The Ring works with the same open source Pebble app that the watch works with. And so if Pebble were to disappear in a puff of smoke, you could continue to use the app, and the community would probably continue to add new features to it as well. Index has a few core features. You can create and add to your notes, set a timer, or set an alarm. You could create a reminder and have it send a notification back to you at a specific time. Generally, it can help you remember things. Oh, and it can also control music. A single click of the button will play or pause your music, or a double click will skip to the next track. That's what the core feature set is. But because it's a Pebble, you could always hack on it and customize it even more. Now I'm going to make a few kind of forward-looking statements. I talked about what the core features are. That's what's going to be available on launch. And all the stuff that I'm talking about now are things that we're intending to work on, but they might not be there on day one when you get the Ring. So the first thing is button control. As I mentioned, you can play or pause your music just with a single click, but we actually want to let you control kind of any action you want with the single click or the double click buttons. You could imagine maybe a single click would take a picture or start a video if you have your phone placed somewhere. Or maybe it will hook up to Home Assistant and you can unlock your front door or turn your lights on just with a single click. Honestly, I tried to find a Bluetooth button Ring before starting this project, and I basically couldn't find one. There was nothing on the market that was small and simple like this that would just let me control something from my Ring. Or from my finger. And so when you kind of think about it, $75 just for a Bluetooth button Ring, that alone is kind of cool. So the second kind of customization layer will be the voice AI interface. So I talked about the base things that it does really well, but a little bit about our architecture. So each of those actions that I described, setting an alarm, creating a reminder, those actions are actually architected as MCPs under the surface. So if anyone's kind of following the large language model world, you may have heard of MCPs. It stands for Model Context Protocol. You can kind of think of them as an app language for creating AI actions or AI tools. And so the things that we created, the reminders, timers, notes, that kind of thing, those are actually written as MCPs under the surface. And you can see where this is going. We're going to let people install their own MCPs and configure which MCPs their assistant can use. And so here's how it works. I want to make sure that the core feature set is going to work 100% of the time. And when you start to introduce these other services and hack on it more, you risk kind of impacting the core feature set. And so here's how I'm thinking about separating things. When you single click and hold, that will send the recording to the kind of memory bank feature. It's guaranteed to work, that's the core feature set. But if you double click and hold, that allows you to talk to the kind of more hackery side of the equation, and you'd be able to send your voice to, take action, to take any of these different actions that you may have installed. What's cool is that it also works with Pebble. So if you've got a Pebble on your wrist and you double click and you talk to the more open-ended side, you could say what's the weather? And it would show you on your Pebble what the weather is. You could probably ask ChatGPT questions. One of the ones that I had last week when I was giving my kids a bath was, we were talking about one of their favorite movies, Ponyo, a Studio Ghibli movie. And I had forgotten what the little boy's name was in the movie. And so I was like, what's the main character or the one of the characters in Ponyo? And it said Sosuke. And so I think there's plenty of little circumstances where I kind of want to ask a little question to ChatGPT or something like that and have the answer just show up on my Pebble. You could also imagine maybe an action for checking your calendar or checking bus schedules or train schedules, that kind of thing. And again, it's going to be open. If you want to build your own MCP or use one of the thousands that are already available, you're free to do that, of course. You can also use the Pebble to verify actions that are being taken by the AI system. So if you, say, for example, use the beeper MCP, which there is one, which is really cool, you could say, tell my wife that I'm, 5 minutes late. And it would use the beeper MCP to see, how they could send this message. And then it would give you a preview of the message on your Pebble, and you could, approve it or deny it and basically check to make sure that it's doing the right action and has the right content before it gets out. So the Pebble kind of becomes, or the watch becomes a kind of verification layer before the action is taken. The MCPs all run locally on the phone, which is really cool. We run them in WASM inside, we run the MCP as a container inside WASM. So it means, for example, if you're using the Gmail MCP, you don't have to have an external server on the cloud that has your kind of Gmail credentials or that kind of thing. It actually runs all contained inside the Pebble app. And then the final layer of customization that we are looking at is kind of just like a generic open-ended system where you can configure the button click or the audio transcription, or the audio or the transcription, just to be sent to your own app or web service, probably via webhook or something like that. And this is if you don't want to use our app, you want to use our app, but you don't want to use our AI or that kind of thing, you can just have it basically pipe the recording or the transcription directly to whichever service you want. So a bit about the project schedule. We're currently, we've been working on this for just about a year now, mostly in the background because the Pebble stuff has been the top priority. But coincidentally, we're using the same factory as the factory that's making Pebble Time 2. Well, I guess it's not very coincidental. We did that on purpose because it's a good factory and it makes it very convenient. So when I'm traveling to Asia to visit the factory for Pebble Time 2 stuff, I just check in and hear about how the ring is going as well. So we're currently in the DVT stage for Index. That means we've got pretty darn good samples coming off the pre-production assembly line. We're just about to start sharing the ring with a lot more people to get wider feedback and to get more units out in the world for testing. But as usual, this is hardware. Schedules may change. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? So be prepared for that. That's pretty much it. It's available for pre-order today on repebble.com. It's just $75. There's no paid subscription or anything like that. It's just $75. So, and then it starts shipping worldwide in March. After that, the price is set to go up to $99. So if you want one, I'd recommend getting one now. I'm excited to get this out. I'm excited to start making all kinds of new gadgets. And please let us know what you think about this in the comments or send us a message or do your thing. Thanks, everyone.